Hello, teachers. I am really excited to be recording this video for you. If you haven't already, this is going along with a blog post on my blog, musiceducatorresources.com. And if you look for the post that's titled Making Video Lessons Work for You, that is part of what this video is all about. So in the blog post, I mentioned that I asked, wouldn't you love to be a clone? We all would love to have a clone, right? Or I guess not be a clone, but have a clone. And I feel like I really came pretty darn close to it. So I wanted to share what I did this last summer that allowed me to clone myself, or at least feel like I did. So last summer I had the goal of recording as many video lessons as I possibly could, and at least one, and if I could swing it, to two method books that I use with my students. Well, I was able to record video lessons for 7 levels of piano pronto, which is one of the methods that I use with my students. And I'm really excited, and I've already seen the benefits to accomplishing this huge project. And even though it was a huge project, I tell you, it was worth the time being spent on doing it. So I've had several teachers ask what my process was, and I thought, what better way just to show you how I did this. And I used a platform called Tonara. I do mention it in the blog post. And I love it. It allows me to clone myself when it comes down to it. I can upload videos, audio files, PDF, JPEGs. I can chat with my students. They can ask me questions. I can ask them questions. They can ask their peers questions in the chat groups that we set up. I can organize all my assignments to the point where they're already done, and it's just a click of a button to send them. So I'm going to go through all this and what I did and how I prepared for all this. So I am going to use an example in movement 3 of piano pronto. And so what I did is, when I first was setting out to do these video recordings, I just videoed them on a webcam that was right above on the piano, showing my fingers, and sometimes it even showed the actual music too. So it was the fingers and the music. And then I did not film showing my face, and I did this actually on purpose because I wanted to use these videos for years to come, and I didn't want them to be dated in any way. So dated is usually through us, right? Sometimes my hair color changes, or sometimes my hairstyle changes, or my weight changes, things like that. So I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to play a role in dating the videos. I want to be able to use them for even 10 years down the road type of thing. So that was my first thing that I did, is when I recorded, it was over, using a webcam, and where they can see my hands. And I'll link to the webcam I use because I really love the webcam. The reason I bought this particular one is it was one that had more of a wide angle, and it had a good microphone on the webcam. I'm very happy with the microphone that it had. So that was the reason I bought this particular one. It had good reviews for that. And so anyway, so what I would do is I would take a book, and I would take probably 8 or 9 pieces a day, which was about 2 to 3 hours of videoing. And I would just go through them as if I was teaching a lesson. So I would go through a piece and teach it through the video. And then I would stop recording, and I would title it, the book, the level that it was in, and then the piece name. And I would put it in a folder that was on my desktop, on my laptop. And when I had about 8 or 9, I was usually done at that point because my voice was tired and I was tired. And so then that night, I would take those videos and do any little edits that I needed to. And I tried not to do any big edits that would take me forever. And so little edits would be like, if it had an audio cleanup or whatever, I used Camtasia for my editing. I could use Final Cut Pro, I could use iMovie, but I wanted something really simple that was just a drop and drag type of thing. And Camtasia has where I can just drop an audio filter where it cleans up the audio just like that. So I would just drag that in to clean up the audio a bit, especially if the air conditioning kicked on at some point. Usually that affects the audio. And then if I had any little ridiculous mistakes or things, then I would do a little cleanup edit where I would just, cut and then put together, because I knew I would actually tell myself in the video when I was recording, stop. And I would pause for a minute with silence so I can spot that section where there's no audio, and then I would start again. So I knew I could quickly find my areas where I needed to edit if it was a major thing. So I would just sit on the recliner and do these edits while I was watching TV. And then once the edits were done, I would upload them into Handbrake, which is a free compressor. And so it compresses the video to be smaller, so doesn't take forever to upload to Tonara. And it also turns it into MP4. So then once that's compressed, and it doesn't take very long at all, then I slide it over into a folder inside Tonara. So I thought I would go ahead and just show you my process in Tonara. So here we are in Tonara, and I'm going to go into movement 3. That's kind of my example. And in my media under Piano Pronto in movement 3, I have some backing tracks. I bought the studio licensing for the Piano Pronto audio files. It is an investment, but it's worth it to me to be able to use these with my students. And then this is where I have the folder for videos. So I'm going to click that. And then here's all my videos for movement 3. So then if I go to Sakura, for example, and look at that one, I'll just show you a quick thing real quick. I put in this particular video, I did a little bit more editing with it because Sakura, I wanted students to see what cherry blossom trees in Japan looked like and how pretty they were. So I wanted that imagery. So I went ahead and added a few pictures in the video and just talked about how pretty they are. And just, to give them the idea of how this piece should sound like through that imagery. Now, I didn't do this with most of the pieces, and you certainly don't have to edit it into a video in Tonara if you wanted to just attach JPEGs or link to a Google picture. You can do that under the assignment. So either way works. But this one was just a quick pop it in type edit. And then you'll notice I'm going to bring this bigger. So then my keyboard is down here, and then they can also see the music as well. So if I pointed to anything, they could see what I'm pointing at. So in the video, I would go through in Piano Pronto, one of my favorite features is the Pronto prep. So I would go through some of the prep stuff, and then I would go through the piece. So I'd point out any fingering issues that they might have to be careful with, dynamics, rhythm, anything like that, especially if it was a piece that just had a lot to it. If the prep was pretty thorough, that was the main focus, was going through the prep. And then I would also play through the whole piece as well, so they could hear the whole piece. And they have their audio files too, but usually they have either a backing track behind it or they have a duet behind it or something. So it's, most of the time, until they reach the higher levels like movement 4, it's most of the time it's not just a single piano that they can hear. So this allows me, when I play through the whole piece, it allows them to hear it. Sometimes I'll play through the piece right at the beginning of the video, and sometimes I'll leave it for the end. Or depending on the piece, I might do it at the beginning and the end. So it just really depended on the video and what I wanted to, what I think they needed when I was going through it. Okay, so before I show you the next step that I did in Tonara, the next step I thought I'd kind of explain my process through it. The next step was putting actual assignments together, the repertoire assignments. And this is where the magic is. The videos are awesome, but setting up the assignments are even more awesome. So what I would do is, again, I would just sit on my couch watching the show, just kind of where I can have it in the background kind of thing and just relax. And I would take a book and I would go through each piece and I would set up an assignment and I would type down in the instructions some basic information that I wanted them to pay attention to when they were practicing this piece. Now, the video is going to have, of course, much more information. So this is just basic stuff like, measure 17, it has tricky rhythm or tricky fingering, be careful, or, this is an A minor, blah, 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 or warm up with your scale first, or, little things like that so I'm going through each of these pieces and setting up the repertoire assignments. So let's go back into Tonara and show you. So here is my repertoire, and on the left side you'll see my organization. I scroll down to PP Movement 3, which is Piano Pronto Movement 3, and click that. And I like to sort these book assignments into the order of the book versus alphabetical order. It's just easier for me to be able to scroll down knowing where somebody is in their book and just find the very next piece that they need to learn. So if somebody just finished Lullaby and Thursday Blues, then I can quickly say, okay, Sakura is their next piece, and we're also going to do St. Anthony Chorale or whatever. And then I can, after I click that, I go up here to share, and then share it to a student. Now I'm going to go to Sakura so you can see an example of this. At this point, if I was assigning this to a student, I would actually delete that number in their assignment because they don't necessarily need that. And I labeled it. When I set these up, I labeled it. I made sure the label of the book was in there so then I could quickly find the piece. And then I don't usually put a practice time goal and stuff until I actually am assigning their pieces because it depends on the student on that. And then here's the video lesson. Here's the video right there, and then the backing tracks and the duet tracks. And then down here is the instructions. Just remind them it's in A minor, so to watch their starting position, to practice the left-hand chords separately and prep first, and then watching that broken chord on the last line. And then I always tell them to practice with the recordings when ready because I really feel that the recordings help them learn these pieces and are able to play nice and flowing up to tempo and everything. And then, so that's your basic, what an assignment would look like. Now, if I was assigning a piece to a student who is with me during the typical lessons, I would take that assignment and assign it to them. And I would take out the video lesson because I'm with them, they don't need me. Unless I feel like they could use that video support, especially if we were kind of short on time going through a piece. And I don't feel like they had enough support during that lesson time to be successful at home. Then I'll leave the video in there and let them know, hey, there's a video in there. We didn't get a lot of time to go through this piece, but there is a video for you. So review that video first before you start practicing. And that way they're set up for success when they're ready to practice that piece. So I use it for students who even come to lessons as well if they need it. If I feel like we went through it enough, then I'll just delete it from their assignment. Then if a student needs a video lesson, if they need to lesson, I don't do makeups at all. I don't believe in makeups, and I have a whole spiel on that. We won't go through that right now, but makeups are really not necessary. And so they have a choice where they can do an online lesson, which is a lesson on Zoom or whatever platform. So that's a live online lesson. or they could request a video lesson, or they can simply miss. So 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, they ask for a video lesson. And if I have enough notice, which I usually do, I just assign it to a future lesson. So if it's the next day, I assign those videos to show up the next day. The other thing I also do is I do record just a simple 30-second, 1-minute video, just introducing the video lesson. So that way they can see my face. It is current. And I could say, hey, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, or sorry to miss you today. I can't, I look forward to seeing you next week. This is what we're doing. Make sure you're reviewing your pieces from last week. If I have any little things to say about those things. And then here, make sure you go into, I'm giving you 2 new pieces, and make sure you watch the videos before you start practicing so you know what to do. And so I always call it introduction, video lesson introduction, watch first. I even put that in the title, watch first. And so they watch that first, and then they go into their new pieces and watch those videos. So it works out really well. And I tell you, this has been a huge, huge time saver. I have only been using these for about 6 weeks now, I think. And I have already used a bunch that I had already in there. Now, I have not done assignment. I wanted to do, I've done most of the Piano Pronto. I still have a couple levels left. And there's another method book that I want to do these for, and I haven't done the videos, but I've done all the assignments. So all the assignments are laid out, my instructions are there. The audio support is in there. I just need to add videos. So once I get those recorded, it'll be a simple add to those assignments. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. If you do not use Tonara, you can have the same idea with whatever platform that you use. But I tell you what, Tonara is awesome. It's a gold mine to me. It has been so awesome to use the last couple of years. Now I don't know what I would do without it. There's so much. It truly sets students up for practice success. So if you have any other questions that maybe I didn't get to, first make sure you go to the blog posts, Making Video Lessons Work for You, and see if I adjust it there. And if you still have a question that's not addressed there, then you can leave a comment under that blog post and I will get to that. Or I'd like to invite you to join us on Music Educator Community on Facebook. This is my Facebook group where I am happy to help you. And the reason why I suggest that you ask these questions in a public forum, either on the blog or inside the community on Facebook, is because chances are high that what your question is, another teacher has the same question. So it's helpful for everyone that they can get the answer at the same time. All right, I hope this was helpful for you and you enjoy cloning yourself. Happy teaching. Bye.